Previously on the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast.
So with the 14th Doctor and potentially 15th Doctor being on our screens over the course of the next month, and who knows what surprises might pop up for the 60th, I thought, gosh, that's a lot of Doctors to be potentially competing with.
Ooh.
So, Chris, for December, we're going to do something completely different.
Okay.
As a Christmas treat for both myself, because I've wanted us to review this book since the podcast started.
Ooh.
And as a hopefully holiday treat for you.
Yes.
Because it seems like this is one of your favorite authors.
Okay.
We are going to be reading The Diary of a Doctor Who Addict by Paul Magrs.
Oh!
Something a little bit different to close out the anniversary year.
Yeah. Okay. So is this non-fiction or is...
No, it is fiction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fiction. Okay. Cool.
But it does not take place within the Doctor Who universe.
Right.
He says mysteriously.
Right. Okay. Right.
And now our story continues.
Welcome, everyone, to the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast. This is Matt in Minnesota.
It's Chris in South London.
Happy December. Hope you had a wonderful 60th.
Yes. It feels like a wee while ago, but yes. So just in case, listener, you are kind of going, Chris seems flustered, I will just, and this is news to Matt. Some of you may know that I help out at my local football club. They are still in the FA Cup, and they have been drawn against Plymouth, which long-term listeners may know is where I spent my teenage years.
Ah.
On the edge of Devon and Cornwall.
So who are you going to be rooting for?
Sutton. In other circumstances, I would root for Plymouth Argyle, but in these particular circumstances, no. But I have spent sort of this afternoon unexpectedly fielding loads of things from my mum and various other people, and I was like, okay, all right, well, how are we going to do this? We don't even know which day yet the match is going to be on, so let's all everybody just calm down. Yes.
Well, I wish them the best of luck. I hope they continue to...
Yes, they'll need it, because Plymouth they are the division beneath the Premiership. Fun.
So we've seen 2 of the 3 60th specials so far, and we'll save our comments for The Giggle, as well as Shooty Gatwa's presumably first Christmas special, next time.
Yes.
We don't know how that's all going to work out.
No.
But what did you think of The Star Beast? Maybe we'll start there.
Yeah, Star Beast. I loved the Star Beast, and it was fantastic watching it with someone who had no knowledge of how the story was going to go, with the twist that Beep the Meep is possibly not quite as sweet and cute as the Meep looked. It was a good updating of it. What did you make of it?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great adaptation. I liked a lot of Rachel Talalay's direction. There was a drone shot of the street battle, which was really cool. I liked how the effects of the Meep were a mix, mostly practical, which surprised me with, some CG enhancements.
Yes.
What did you make of the whole Sonic Shield sequence?
Yeah, now that I think I could have possibly done without, because I kind of went, well, it's never done this before.
I really liked it, and I liked that it was defensive in nature and not offensive, and I do also like that RTD telegraphed where he kind of drew a display earlier, where he was using that functionality on the new Sonic. So it wasn't quite as much of a surprise, I guess, that he could make that solidify.
Yeah.
I also really liked the sequence where the Sonic is resonating the mortar and the kind of the attic escape through all the connected row houses. I thought that was really clever.
Yes, yes, and also that was quite cute when you saw them all running through, including Beep. I mean, I guess it's the psychic paper du jour, isn't it? I mean, it's a way of kind of like showing this isn't your parents' Doctor Who. We can now do this.
What did you think of the new title sequence?
I really loved it. Beautiful is like the only way I would describe it. I mean, I kind of liked the previous title sequence, but not as much like the theme music. Whereas this era, yeah.
Yeah, for me, I thought there was maybe a little bit of a missed opportunity now that we're back to the diamond logo. I would have been cool to get like a slit scan homage with like the two parallel lines, similar to how John and Tom's title sequences are.
Yeah.
But I do really like it. I think it's beautiful and colorful, and would say my favorite depiction of the time vortex itself is probably still from the Jodie Whittaker era, kind of how chaotic and frantic it looked with time tunnels going everywhere. But I do like how this new one retains some of that chaos, but it also feels a little bit more cloudy and wispy and less solid to me.
Yes. Less underwater.
But the colors are really cool.
Yeah, less aquatic, which is I think my issue with the Jodie Whittaker one. It always felt more like Sequest DSV than not the actual Sequest DSV stuff, but it was like more akin to, you know, some kind of like ocean going or submarine show. But each to their own. Each to their own.
A couple of other just thoughts about it.
Sure.
I thought it was cool that they retained Fudge as a character. And the part about Donna and Rose letting the vortex just go makes me wonder if the Ninth Doctor could have done that instead of regenerate. And I thought the cloud that took over the unit soldiers, for a moment I thought that was like the Gelth returning. I wasn't sure like because what was going on there.
Yeah. It made sense that Donna's kid would have half of Donna's knowledge, and so that seemed to make sense, and it was a nice explanation as to why Donna's daughter was called Rose. I thought that Rose's character was handled very well from what I could see, but I was just curious as to what your thoughts were.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was good representation.
Yeah.
I think a little bit, maybe was a little on the nose in some places, but also I think it was good of RTD to say, like, this is the direction Doctor Who is moving in, and telegraphing that a bit, which is good as well.
Yes.
What did you think of the TARDIS interior?
Beautiful. Absolutely stunning. Yeah, I think it's my favourite of the modern era. And also the fact you've got the ramps, which is, it's just beautiful. Yeah, it was just, I mean, a lot of money's been chucked at that. I mean, I guess that's what Disney money brings you. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
I wasn't sure how much of it was like a CG set extension, but apparently it's pretty much all practical.
Yeah.
From seeing the Doctor Who Unleashed. I would say Capaldi's is still my overall favorite. And I feel like this TARDIS interior is a little empty. You could do with some sofas or places to sit, or maybe some knickknacks collected. And so if Ncuti inherits this TARDIS, it would be nice to see it kind of fill up over time. Maybe a gigantic penny in the background or something. But it's very cavernous.
Yes, but it's more recognisably a TARDIS in the Jodie era.
Yeah.
There is a general feeling of reset, which I feel slightly mixed about, but it's just because I just feel so sad that I didn't enjoy as much the era of the first female Doctor. And that's not down to Jodie, that's down to the various production decisions, and that we're having to do this basically to kind of go, yeah, we as a show we possibly made some missteps. That's not what's overly being said, but it's just, anyway, I might be talking out of turn.
I was a little surprised that Rose remembered the Lupari from Flux, because she had one of her toys that she made, which is also interesting that she's a toy maker.
Yeah, that's true.
I wondered if that had anything. The woman in, was it Dubai or Abu Dhabi, maybe?
Dubai. It was said both. Because having spent time out there. So Donna says Abu Dhabi, Rose says Dubai. So I assume Rose is correct. And I assume this isn't an error, but it's just a kind of like a character point, because people kind of think, oh, it's the same.
And I suppose with all the Lupari ships in orbit, maybe all of them abducted their humans and brought them
Yeah.
up in the ship, and maybe we saw that off screen in Flux.
But also, Donna could have met the Lupari previously.
True, yeah.
I can't remember from Flux whether there is anything in which it is said that this is the first time that the Doctor's met the Lupari.
Yeah.
So there's space there to do that. I mean, you can have Big Finish or something.
Yeah, fill those in for sure.
Yes.
But the other comment I had was, I thought it was interesting that the Doctor referred to himself as Unit's first scientific advisor, because I thought that honor went to Liz Shaw, because she was hired first. But
yes, I guess.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yes.
What did you think of the Daleks in color, which we also got right around that time?
So I've not seen any of it as yet, but I mean, as an idea, yeah, okay. I mean, I appreciate that we've probably got the Daleks in colour rather than an unearthly child because of reasons. But also, a bit of me kind of goes, we've already got the Daleks in colour, and that's got Peter Cushing in it. What did you make of it?
I thought the editing by Benjamin Cook was well done. I thought some of the music by Mark Ayres was a little over the top and synthy in places, perhaps, and could have done with a couple of quieter moments, because it was kind of nonstop music from start to finish. It was interesting that the month prior, I had met Kieran Hyman, who did the colorization on it, along with Rich Tipple and some others. And it makes me wonder what they might do next. I spotted a colorized clip from Tomb of the Cybermen in the 60th anniversary trailer that was narrated by Paul Magrs. So wondering if that might be their next project.
And the colorized Daleks ties in, I guess, in its own little way to the Children in Need clip and also Liberation of the Daleks. So we can say, right, the 14th Doctor has met the Daleks. We don't need to worry about having any Dalek encounters or anybody saying, oh, this Doctor's never encountered the Daleks. No, it's been sorted multiple times.
And what did you make of the other special that just aired as of recording yesterday, Wild Blue Yonder?
Wild Blue Yonder. So I thought of it as RTD's take on Heaven Sent.
Kind of his response to that, or almost like a sequel to Midnight, yeah.
Yeah. I loved it. I thought it was really good. I mean, it was a bit kind of like Arthur C. Clarke kind of thing, I guess. I mean, though you didn't have an artifact as such, but you did have obviously a mysterious ship, and you're on the edge of the universe and whatnot. But I thought it was good, really weird, creepy stuff. And it was practically a two-hander.
Yeah.
And I was not expecting that. Because there were so many people saying, oh, look, you're going to have Paul McGann in this one and Jodie. And none of that has happened.
Yeah.
I also did wonder whether Edge of Destruction's, one of its many other titles, was Inside the Spaceship. And this was inside a spaceship with just the TARDIS crew and aliens.
I did like that we got the bookended moments of the Isaac Newton stuff and then the stuff with Wilf at the end too.
Yes.
It made it a little less claustrophobic.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder if the whole Mavity thing is going to carry over into Shudi's season. Before he may, pop back and correct that or something.
Yes. Mavity feels like it might not be throwaway. That might come back to haunt the Doctor at some point. The actor playing Isaac Newton, I've forgotten his surname now, but Nathan, he's from It's a Sin.
Oh, that's where I recognized him from.
Yeah, I would imagine that he might possibly return, because RTD does like to have his returning repertoire of actors.
For me, it felt very much like the Big Finish audio scherzo by Rob Shearman.
Oh, yes.
Where you had like the really long corridor and then something way off in the distance. I was getting vibes from that, as well as the old Russian film Solaris. Reminded me of that a bit too.
Yeah. I listened to Scherzo recently, and I think I liked this more. Because I think Scherzo it's possibly a difficult thing to do on audio and keep it fresh and interesting, which I think was always my problem with Heaven Sent. Whereas here, like, you had suspense and also some lovely character moments with the Doctor and Donna, and revelations as well. I was on the edge of my seat. Yeah, this was a lot more to my taste than Scherzo and Heaven Sent.
A couple of other just tidbits from this one. I liked the mention of the Hads and kind of how that fed into the plot. And then it was cool to see a horse species depicted. And I was wondering if it was one of the two that we've encountered in the books so far. I think one was in At Childhood's End with the kind of the floating astronaut.
Yeah.
I can totally see a cosplay of like the "my arms are too long" thing being a thing at like Gallifrey 1. Where people are dragging around arms like that. And I did like, too, that RTD picked up on some of the dangling plot threads from the Chibnall era, including half of the universe being destroyed by the Flux and the Doctor not being of Gallifrey. Part of me wondered if maybe RTD is at home with writing a Doctor that has that kind of guilt complex that we saw with like the 9th and 10th Doctors, and if that being upset about not being able to save half the universe might get that kind of cosmic angst, in the Doctor again.
Yeah.
Because he seemed to have latched onto that detail.
Well, it adds an edge, doesn't it? It makes him a more rounded and interesting character. So someone who is wrestling with guilt, but is still trying to do the right thing and isn't completely overburdened by it. But yeah.
I got to see the episode at Bill Evenson's house. He had a bit of a viewing party, and that was fun. His wife, Jackie, made wonderful beef and cheddar and ham and Swiss sandwiches for everyone.
Okay. Cool.
Of the two specials so far, I would say I think I like the Star Beast a bit more, but it's probably because while Blue Yonder, veers into the horror, which I'm not as big of a fan of. But which of the two did you prefer?
I think Star Beast. But I enjoyed the fact that Wild Blue Yonder happened, and that it was a brave and weird thing to put out on a Saturday night just before Strictly.
Yeah.
Well done. Yeah, because I don't know if this is necessarily what the Disney Plus audience is wanting. And it wasn't like it was, we're going to redo Midnight. But it was a reflection of the fact that you have two brilliant actors, and they could pull off something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're known quantities. So let's just do, and it might well be that Catherine Tate has kind of like gone all over the over the years said to RTD, why couldn't I have been in Midnight more?
Yeah, I did appreciate too that we did kind of get a two-hander with just them as the second episode, because if they're coming back, had it been like a multi-Doctor story, I feel that whole dynamic between the Doctor and Donna would have been kind of put on the back burner.
Yeah.
So I feel like this type of story really did serve them well, especially knowing that we only get probably the 3 stories with them.
So, Wild Speculation Corner, so this is just something that occurred to me last night, is the 14th Doctor going to make it even to like the start of the 3rd act of next week's episode?
Oh, huh.
Because I did kind of think, right, if ever you're going to have an opportunity to have a regeneration mid-story, it's when you have a Doctor that everybody knows is not going to be around for a while.
And kind of kill him off early sort of deal.
Yeah.
As a surprise. Yeah, that could be. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Listeners, you probably know at this point.
Yes, you probably think, no, Chris, you were completely off it, and maybe David Tennant might still be around for the Church on Ruby Road.
You could also have like a multi-Doctor story similar to what you had a taste of in the 50th, where you might bring Ncuti Gatwa forward a bit and have him interact with the 14th Doctor too as a potential thing, but who knows.
Well, and there is that clip that we have been led to believe is coming in the specials of Ncuti's Doctor sort of saying, what is going on, with a background that had been changed to avoid spoilers.
Yeah, we shall see.
But I'm glad that Doctor Who is in an exciting place.
Yes.
And I know people are interested in it, and I've had people were speaking to me particularly about Beat the Meep, as what a wonderful choice it was to adapt that general story.
And I think the Meep even refers to himself as Beep at one point, like just once too, which is a nice nod for the comics.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little sad that we didn't have the internal monologue, but it would be hard to do that.
Yeah,
because that's one of the things that's so fun about the original story is that Beep is going, no, do not touch me, like I will kill you, and so we had none of that, but still, it was good fun. It was good fun.
As Doctor Who is returning to our screens, taking a step away from that for the book we're reading, because this month we are reading The Diary of a Doctor Who Addict.
Yes.
by Paul Magrs. So we're kind of hard to compete with brand new specials like that.
Yes.
And I think this is a good complement to that.
Yeah.
But before we get there, just a couple of book news items. So just a reminder that the 3 novelizations of the 14th Doctor specials are due out in paperback in January, and they're also being released digitally the week following the episode's airing. And hopefully that continues with Ncuti's stories next season as well.
Yeah.
I also read Once Upon a Time Lord and really enjoyed it. Chris, you had mentioned you had done a review of that a few months back.
Yes. Yeah.
It's so clever how the TARDIS consoles are laid out in those opening panels, and kind of that 3x3 grid where you go through the different incarnations.
Yeah.
I am kind of wondering why Dan Slott didn't just set it during Martha's year on Earth, because she was telling stories then too, rather than introduce the new aliens, but, you know.
There are plot reasons why, aren't there? So to make sure that like the whole thing is not so much Doctor-centric, but yeah, I guess you don't want people to be thrown off kind of going, oh, I should have watched this episode or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And then one other final piece of book news, Ed Hammond, the editor at Panini, revealed on a recent panel-to-panel podcast that there may be some news on the horizon regarding the remaining unreleased backup comic strips. We might finally get the Alan Moore kind of Time War strips.
Yeah.
So I think that brings us to show and tell.
Yes.
And Chris, I believe you're up first.
Yeah, so my show and tell is something that people outside of the UK without access to magical means won't have seen, which is Tales from the TARDIS.
Mm.
So on November the 1st, I got up early to watch Earthshock. As one does. And I thought that the top and tailing bits I thought were beautifully done. And also as well the edit of Earthshock made the story good and punchy.
Mm.
The only other one that I've seen is Vengeance on Varos.
Mm.
But I don't know whether these are all supposed to be future Doctors who are happening to look like an older version of Peter Davison or Colin Baker.
Mm.
Or whether it is supposed to be a timey-wimey version.
It's explained in the 7th Doctor and Ace one.
Ah, okay. Fine.
Yeah, go and watch that.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet. But
I have seen them through magical means.
Yeah.
It was interesting that these were shot really quickly. I think Russell T. Davies had the idea in late summer, early fall.
Yeah.
And they turned it around really quick. And it also makes me wonder if this memory TARDIS might somehow tie into Ncuti Gatwa's season, if it's a one-off or if it's actually going to become a plot point in the future somehow. And I really liked how Jodie's console becomes the campfire that they gather to tell the stories around. And there was a fan, Gallifrey97 on YouTube, who made a really exceptional tribute video out of the Tales from the TARDIS collection. It's only like 2 or 3 minutes long, and I might provide a link to that in the show notes because it's really well done and kind of brings a tear to the eye. So
yeah. Oh, and another little show and tell thing, just as an aside, I have an article that's been published by the British Fantasy Society on their website about Doctor Who podcasts.
I saw that.
Yes.
Excellent.
It was a bit cheeky to include us in our own top 10, but I was told by the editor who had commissioned me over dinner to, yes, go on and include yourself.
I would have done the same. So.
AKA Lauren, yeah.
Very cool.
Cool. So what have you got, Matt?
So my show and tell is a little Chicago TARDIS con report. Made the drive down there and survived driving an electric vehicle and doing the whole charging stations and pit stops and all of that. And did encounter a snowstorm on the way back, so that wasn't fun. It seems like a repeat of the 10 years ago when I went to Chicago TARDIS, but fortunately it was only 2 or 3 inches of snow and not a full blizzard. It was really cool to it felt like being at the epicenter of Doctor Who fandom when the program guide said there was a 2-hour block where Rachel Talalay was going to introduce something she worked on recently and then followed it up with a 60-minute Q&A session. So she didn't do a Star Beast commentary proper, but still was able to share a lot of her thoughts. She did mention that the intro to the Star Beast was Disney's idea, the pre-credit sequence where they're talking to camera.
I thought that was good. I know not everybody enjoyed that. I thought that was a reasonable way to bring everybody up to date.
Yeah, there's a couple, you could have done like flashbacks in the episode too, but yeah, it was a way to do it. And seemed to get us into the story quickly.
Yeah.
When I first arrived, I was wondering if I was in the right place because I kept running into like people from a wedding party. And then I saw Peter Davison walk by me in the lobby and I was like, yep, I'm in the right place. I got to hang out with Lars Pearson for a bit and say hi to Stacey Smith.
Oh, cool.
I met Larry Van Mersbergen from the Doctor Who Collectors podcast, attended a panel where he went through 60 years and he had a collectible from every single year that he held up and showed to everyone. 63 was hard to find something, but he did have a copy of the Radio Times.
Oh, wow.
And he had like the chess set from the 90s there and a hardcover of the Smugglers, which I guess was the last hardcover ever released in the Target range. Yeah. He had a copy of the Dalek book for the 1964 entry. I also met the gentleman who is pursuing getting the Chris Schwey or Chris Quedge license for those books, and he has volume 2 coming out in January for that. And attended Lisa Bowerman's panel where she revealed that she's friends with Martha Plimpton from the Goonies. Which was random. Okay. She got like 4 or 5 questions in a row about how to break into voice acting from video game fans. And you could tell she was just like getting a little annoyed. So then I asked her about her time on Coronation Street and her face just lit up because she didn't have to talk about how to get your resume into Spotlight.
Oh, God.
But she said that she spent her 50th birthday on the cobbles in the freezing rain being heated by some water bottles on set. She said it was the time of her life and that her older brother was an actor who had appeared on the show as well, which I didn't know. Okay. And she said they have a very tight-knit company up there, a very different vibe from EastEnders. You have these old actors showing newcomers around the green room saying, like, here's where the toaster is and stuff. And she played Carla's solicitor. So that was really cool and great to see her.
Okay.
And then when folks were lining up for going in to see the Star Beast, I was handing out badge ribbons for the podcast. And then I see Andrew Beach walk by, from the Panopticon convention and DWAS fame.
Yeah.
And I had first met him in Chicago at TARDIS back in like 2001, so it was interesting seeing him again. But he, I kid you not, walked by all of the fans lined up and in Simpsons Empire Strikes Back style, just starts announcing to everyone that the Meep is evil. And I was just like, what are you doing? And I was like, that's Andrew for you.
That's not where I thought that was going to go. Yeah. I thought you were going to say that he came up and sort of said, oh, I hate the podcast or something.
Oh, I wouldn't put that past him either, but no. And then there were a lot of little random packages kind of strewn out all around the lobby, and I was picking one up to like see what it was, and then
He's from the wedding.
No, it wasn't, but okay. I was wearing a Doctor Who hockey jersey thing.
Oh, yes.
And then someone tugs on my sleeve, and I hear, "Oh, darling, that's a sewing kit, you know." And I turn around, and it's Katie Manning, who decided to come up to me to announce that these were sewing kits. So I think like emergency sewing kits that cosplayers have kind of distributed in case of any costuming emergencies. But thank you, Katie, for letting me know what those were. I also purchased 3 books in the dealer's room, but not the Iris Wildtime book that I was on the lookout for. I still have not found that one.
No. And frustratingly, before I knew that you were looking for that one, I have been in the same room as a copy of it. And I'm probably going to be in February, I'll probably be in Derby at the UK Ghost thing. So if it appears there again, I will grab it for you.
And listeners, we're talking about the hardcover version of A Clockwork Iris, which is volume 9 of her anthology series.
Yeah.
And then finally, I really liked how the schedule for the video room was done to resemble Radio Times and TV Guide listings as well. That was quite cute.
Cool.
But yeah, it was a wonderful convention and a great way to celebrate the 60th, and very glad I braved the snowstorm to attend.
Cool.
All right. Well, I think that brings us to our book.
Yes.
Quite the intro.
It was quite the intro, yes.
We had a lot to talk about.
We have. Sorry, listener. Please do indulge us. And this month we are reading The Diary of a Doctor Who Addict by Paul Magrs. And Paul Magrs is no stranger to the show, or at least his work is.
Yep, we've read Verdigris by him, as well as the short story Teddy Sparkles Must Die, as well as some of his Iris Wildtime short stories.
Yes. Yeah, he's a lovely guy. So if ever you find yourself at a convention, go along and have a chat. Yeah, he's just really very, very kind and good fun. And a hilarious storyteller. It sounds a bit crazy to say, but he is my discovery of doing this show, because I'd read The Scarlet Empress once when I was kind of like in my late teens, early 20s. Didn't think anything of it. Thought it was ridiculously overrated. And I was an idiot. But we haven't reread it, so The Scarlet Empress, so it may be that it will still bounce off me again. But yeah, I love Paul's stuff.
Yeah, and this is a little bit different in that it takes place in pretty much the real world.
Yes.
Although in a world where the first part of Castrovalva aired on a Tuesday and not a Monday night. But otherwise very similar to our own.
Yes, yeah. Earth 2, yes.
We didn't really talk about the cover of the book, which has kind of youth in silhouette, which seems a little anachronistic because they're wearing baggy clothes, which I would say reminiscent of maybe like the mid to late 90s and not when this book is set. And also the font or the red lettering makes this look a little bit like a horror novel on the cover. At least that was my impression.
Yeah, it feels a bit more mid-90s than like Flares, say. But the cover has got hexagons on, and that makes me think of Blockbuster, which was a TV game show. I don't know if that was on in 1982, but it's very much a 1980s TV game show that was very popular with teenagers and students. And so I think that is no accent. And there's also lots of binary for reasons. I don't quite understand. But hey ho. So
some of these characters also appeared in a Big Finish Short Trips anthology, Short Trips Snapshots. It's kind of a variation of this story. However, in that story, some of the characters are a little bit different, and the main character has a brother who ends up getting lost in a snowstorm rather than his step-grand, as we'll find out shortly.
Yeah.
So shall we jump right in?
Yeah, let's begin. So the central character is a character called David, and David is nearing his 13th birthday, and his diary opens in Christmas holidays in early January, late Saturday night, in 1982? Yes, it was 1982.
Yep.
David lives with his mum and his stepfather Brian, and Brian's mother Jackie, who is a recent widow, pardon me, and so therefore Jackie is David's step-grandmother. And David's father passed away. He was a cop that was kind of like killed in action. And there's also as well an elderly pet dog called Ben. They live on a council estate in the northeast of England. I can't remember it's explicitly Darlington, but certainly Darlington gets mentioned. So it's round about that kind of area. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Newton Aycliffe, maybe, which is 5 miles north of Darlington.
Yeah, as we're kind of like setting stuff up, Brian, David's stepfather, is American, but has lived in the UK for a while. But he's been living with David and his mother for just over a year. And Jackie moved in a few months ago after her husband had passed away. And it's implied that her husband had died of lung cancer. And Jackie is now trying to give up smoking as a result.
And this is about where our dramatic reading comes in, which is a short excerpt from the audiobook read by the author Paul Magrs, where we learn about the subject of David and his step-grand Jackie's late-night conversations. Let's have a listen.
I can't understand what it is you've got to talk about anyway, Mum tells us, plonking the bread on the table. What do we talk about? Jackie and I exchange a conspiratorial glance. We talk about the show, don't we? What else? Mum wouldn't understand. She thinks that at 12, nearly 13, I should be growing out of the show by now. Mum thinks it's a daft thing, a kid's thing, even though Jackie's into it too. Mum thinks I should be fixing my sights on more grown-up stuff, more serious stuff. She sighs when I go on about the new season starting on the telly, or when I talk about the new novelisation coming out, or the monthly magazine being late arriving. She can't understand the nature of my addiction at all. But Jackie can. She could see it straight away. Sure, she told me later on, just before bed, I understand enthusiasms. Enthusiasms, she said. I know about obsessions. I know what it's like to be so into something it gets into your gut and you think about it all the time. Jackie told me this while we were sitting in her bedroom. Her room at our house is more like a little bedsit. When she left the home she shared with Brian's dad, she brought some of their furniture and things with her. Most of it, however, she had to ditch, which was sad. But Mam and Brian worked hard to make her room here with us as comfortable and familiar as they could. She brought her husband's easy boy reclining chair and she sits on it, dwarfed in its brown corduroy depths as she talks into the night. I sit in my new usual place on a footstool beside the wooden globe which houses her cocktail cabinet. You have to lift up the northern hemisphere on a hinge. It's in front of her tall bookcase, which goes right up to the Artex ceiling and is crammed with paperback fantasy novels, all of them read and reread by Jackie over the years. I guess I'm addicted to reading, she told me, seeing where I was staring. It's how I get through the lonely times. There's so much of life to fill up. We've got to fix on something we like doing and make sure we enjoy it. Otherwise we're going to be pretty bored. So I've got my reading and you've got your show. So what? There are worse things to be fixed on at your age, believe me. You could be doing drugs or booze or glue sniffing. I shrug and smile. Sometimes I still feel a bit shy of Jackie. She seems so sophisticated, worldly. Besides, she goes on, I can see what you see in your show. Of course I can. It's an escape, isn't it? Escape into another world, other times and places. She stares out of the window then, through the slatted blinds that are new up. Outside, it's snowing heavier and heavier. The snow came falling down over our estate under sodium lights, and it was showing no sign of stopping. Yeah, she says, I can see why it would be nice to go off into time and space someday with Doctor Who. The funny thing is, I think, she hasn't even seen a single episode yet. What she's done is read some of the books. I've lent her a couple of my novelizations in order to bring her up to speed before the new season starts on the telly next week. She's borrowed 7 of my Doctor Who books. She seems to have enjoyed them. She gives them back to me with a strange smile. He's pretty neat, your Doctor Who. I don't have the heart to correct her, to tell her it's the show that's called Doctor Who. The Doctor is just the Doctor.
Thank you, Paul, for both writing and reading that.
Yeah, cheers, Paul.
Jackie, as we've heard, is an avid reader of paperback fantasy novels and is a huge Lord of the Rings fan. And she has kind of a bedsit set up in her room with all of her paperback books on like a towering shelf. And later that same evening, David gets woken up because Jackie's gone out sleepwalking in the snow. And the family has to move quickly to follow her. At first they think it might be a burglar or something. And her footsteps are getting filled in by more snowfall. And they see that she's kind of gone off across the estate. And as this is a very scary and stressful situation for a young lad, David is very much channeling the Doctor in order to be brave and is imagining all sorts of ice-based monsters lurking around every corner.
Yeah, I'm having kind of like flashbacks to, is it a Telos novella that was set just before...
Oh yeah, the Kim Newman's book.
Yeah, the Kim Newman one. Yeah, that was set just before An Unearthly Child, because that has the Great Freeze and weird things happening in the snow. So, yes. So the family are searching for Jackie and they reach the end of the estate, but they have to turn back due to the blizzard. And when they get back to their home, they discover that Jackie had turned up next door, confused as to which of the houses was hers. And she'd woken up David's family's neighbours. And she's clutching a small plastic Dalek in her hands, which she had been using as a chess piece, having been teaching David how to play.
And I saw that exact plastic Dalek in the Chicago TARDIS panel because they had a copy of the War of the Daleks board game, which is where the piece came from. That was kind of cool.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool.
So with Jackie found and safe, David decides to then visit his friend Robert Wolfe on the council estate the following Monday as the snowstorm continues. And Robert and David had been friends for years, although Robert is now fancying himself as a bit of an anarchist and is getting very much into goth and punk albums, including David Bowie's catalog. Whereas the most alternative that David gets is like Blondie.
Yeah. This I did kind of wonder because like Bowie I mean, I'm not too sure how fond the punks were of Bowie, but then again, I don't know how much people necessarily I'm going to say something awfully metropolitan, but like people like away from London, like who were kind of like isolated a bit from the punk scene, would have necessarily known, oh yeah, the punks don't like Bowie, blah blah blah. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so David reminds Robert that the new season of The Show is starting soon.
Capital T, capital S.
Yes. Oh yeah. Featuring the new Doctor, which places this story in January of 1982 when Castrovalva airs. And neither David or Robert have video recorders. And instead, they've been recording the audio of The Show on cassette. And Robert worries that they're getting a bit too old for Doctor Who. In fact, it's not so much worries, but he's
drifting that way, yeah.
Yeah, Robert's drifting that way. And he'd rather stay in his room and lift weights than go out into the snow to play. And Robert lends David a couple of Third Doctor target novels, The Autumn Invasion and Day of the Daleks, that he's not really interested in anymore. And given that Day of the Daleks is regarded as one of the classics, I think that is a signal of, this is somebody who is straying away. I do wonder about Robert's age. Because Robert, I think he's in the same year at school.
But he may have been held back a year. He seems a little older.
He feels a little older, doesn't he?
David decides, even though it's winter break, to try walking up to his school in the snow to pass the time, and he's having all sorts of fantasies in his mind about comparing the whiteness of the snow to the white voids in Warriors Gate and E-Space, and he's getting very anxious about having to go back to school the following week.
That reminds me, I did wonder whether last night E-Space was going to get a mention. While Blue Yonder, because they were saying, "Oh, we're here. We've gone to somewhere weird." And I go, "Are we in East-Space?" But no.
It gave me kind of an inkling to want to watch Castrovalva.
Yes.
After reading this too, and the kind of the premiere of that and everything.
Yeah.
And just curious, especially from your perspective, did this feel like the northeast of England? And
yes,
I read up a little bit, and it said it was a post World War II new town or a new planning town, or
So I've not knowingly been to Newton Aycliffe, but this feels like the northeast. I mean, it's I'm more familiar with the northwest than I am the northeast, but I've spent time in Darlington and places like that, and this felt very true. And it's the kind of places that by that stage there would still be some mining happening, and then you would have the miners' strike, I think a year on from that. I might be getting my history slightly wrong, but it is a place that is starting to enter post-industrialization, even if it doesn't realize it at that time. You certainly have the feeling from reading it. It is a place that is certainly not wealthy.
Yeah, it was interesting, David's family doesn't have a phone.
Yeah.
Which, there was one other novel we read, maybe it was the Tommy Donpavand one, where there's a character in there that didn't have a phone either, and I was just wondering how common that was, even into the 70s or 80s, for that to be a thing.
As far as I'm aware, most people that, my family knew, certainly in the late 80s, had phones. But I don't know how representative that is. I was quite taken by that detail because that's not something that you often see. If you're seeing something set in the 70s or the 80s, I don't remember seeing that before. And that just felt, again, very lived experience.
Yeah.
So go back to the story. Robert decides to come over to watch the season 19 premiere the following day after all, but he doesn't seem to care that he's no longer recording the programme at his home. And Jackie, David's stepgran, pops in and offers him some jelly babies, and they set up the audio recording upstairs and settle in to watch downstairs for the rest of the family, with David annoyed at how much everyone is talking and worried as well whether it's going to be a good enough episode for Jackie to want to watch more, because this is her first time she's actually experienced televised Doctor Who.
And I've had that same kind of anxiety too, where it's introducing someone to the show and it's I hope they like it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been feeling that with the specials, even though I've been watching it with Lauren. I was going, please don't talk. Yes.
Yeah. And it is interesting too with Jackie. I mean, I think we've all probably have a relative that seems maybe more well-traveled or like a more worldly sort of a person who seems to have all sorts of cool experiences and stuff. So it was nice to bring in that family dynamic too.
Yeah.
Where you have like a more sophisticated older relative that you look up to and care about their opinion and such.
Yeah.
So Wednesday morning, the next day after the episode airs, the snow continues and the town is declared officially shut in. Robert also decides that he's over Doctor Who and doesn't care for the new doctor at all. And while that's happening, David's mother suffers a migraine while doing the shopping in town. And David is surprised to find his mom's mom and her deaf friend Daisy, who've braved the storm. They live a couple of estates over for a visit. And not good timing because his mom is trying to lay down and sleep, and they're very loud and noisy and stuff.
Yeah.
We also learn that David has an LP record by Jeff Love called Space Themes, which includes the Doctor Who theme, which he likes to play over and over again. And I looked that up, and that's a real record from the time. It has kind of a cool cover.
So we now jump ahead in time 3 months to March, and the snow is long gone. It's been replaced with mud everywhere. And David has made a new friend, a girl called Karen Doyle, who is much more supportive of David than Robert has been. And Karen is writing a sprawling Duran Duran and the Cure fanfic. Robert, though, he's started belittling David, and they continue to grow further apart. And David starts writing his own fanfic stories, featuring Planet of the Apes, Marvel Comics, Doctor Who, and Star Trek crossovers.
As you do, right?
Yes, as you do.
And season 19 is continuing on, and David experiences the surprise of Earthshock Part 4, featuring, of course, the return of the Cybermen, as well as the death of Adric. And he's been thrilled with how this season has been going, having not gotten to Time Flight yet. But Robert has not. And Robert shares that there are rumors that David might be a puff, which is... Yeah.
Because that's certainly in the UK, that's a very derogatory term.
It's interesting that the term gay is never used in this book.
Yeah.
But that term is. So, we're using it in the context of the...
Yes,
would have been used at the time.
Yes.
So there's rumors going around about David's sexuality, but there are also competing rumors that David and Karen are now an item. And Robert's kind of asking David to confirm that for validation that David's straight.
Yeah.
And David instead decides to use a line from one of his soaps and says that he denies that there's anything but friendship going on with Karen and that he doesn't like her that way.
Yeah, well, I guess it's always a bit like City of Death, or, she's a beautiful woman, apparently.
Yeah. We didn't mention the Doctor finding Isaac Newton attractive in the most recent special, and him, saying, "Oh, is this who I am now?" Potentially saying that this incarnation is on the LGBTQ plus spectrum, perhaps. Yeah.
So, Jackie has taken up smoking again, while Brian surprises the family with their first video recorder, and it's not specified if it's a VHS or Betamax.
Knowing David's family's luck, it's probably a Betamax.
Yes, and the first thing they record is Coronation Street. And later in April, Jackie falls down the stairs, but as we've said before, their family doesn't have a telephone, and Jackie starts having a seizure. And there's quite a harrowing scene where David's trying to find an ambulance, and it's all just this panic of like who's in that has access to a phone. And the ambulance comes, and she is expected to recover.
And there's a moment there too where he says like, "This is where she would start regenerating."
Yes.
If this was the show.
Yes. Yeah, and going back to Robert, David asks Robert why people think he's gay and doesn't like the long list of reasons that Robert provides as to why David isn't conforming to the expectations of people from the town. Back home, the family are excited that they're finally getting a car, and this means that David could potentially go to the Blackpool Doctor Who exhibition.
Which I now know all about because I've read the free PDF that was like 400 pages of memories of the exhibition that I think we've previously covered when that was published. But that's a wonderful read, and it even has like diagrams of how the basement cellar was set up with all the different exhibits and stuff, and well worth checking out. But them having a car means that they may visit that someday.
Yeah.
And then we jump forward in time a little bit more, and it's now summertime, and David is again visiting Karen. Karen is a little critical of some of his writings, especially the sci-fi crossover ones, and suggests that he writes about something closer to home and perhaps a little less fantastical. She also asks about Robert, and David realizes that she still likes him, even though her and Robert only briefly dated for about a week, about 6 months back or so. And David is notably more interested in how Karen is decorating her room and wishing that he could decorate his similarly, thinking it has a real grotto feel and he likes the incense sticks she has and stuff. And there's kind of a recurring theme where he notices Karen wearing a certain type of perfume or oil and he can't place it, and it's pretty much described as like patchouli oil, which I think was pretty popular at the time.
Yeah, so the family get a car for the first time, a gold hatchback, and they visit David's gran on his mum's side. And David is grilled about his recent date with Karen, date in the heaviest of air quotes. And David comes to the realization that he doesn't like girls, but remains silent as they continue to badger him. Yeah, we're now in June, and Robert and David are at W.H. Smith's in Darlington, and The Leisure Hive has been recently released in Target form. And Robert is checking out the bodybuilding magazines whilst rocking goth eyeliner, courtesy of his sister, and is growing ever distant. So, yeah, further to the thing of, is Robert really 13?
Yeah.
But, yes.
And in the following month in July, David's family decides to take a summer holiday in their new car to a caravan park in the Lake District. And David, during this time, keeps up his regular correspondence with Karen while avoiding swimming, preferring to read and work more on his writing as well. And after a flashback to Brian's father's funeral from the previous year, we learn that Jackie, after having her fall, decided to move back to America and to her old life in New York City. David's mom and Brian, and it's interesting that David's mom is never named in the narrative. It's always David's mom.
Yeah.
David's mom and his stepdad Brian discover some of his writings and are mortified with how he's depicting his family.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it doesn't sound like they read anything where he was questioning his sexuality or anything like that.
No. We jump forward another few months to October, and the Blackpool exhibition on the Golden Mile weekend. And Robert accompanies them, but he eats too much fudge on the way out in the car and becomes sick, but still manages to impress David's family with an early Bowie mixtape. And they eventually arrive in Blackpool, and the boys go through the Doctor Who exhibit, snapping Polaroids along the way. Yeah, and then the next day, back home, Robert decides to make a public display of tearing up his Doctor Who novels, some of which belong to David, to impress the girls in the neighbourhood. David tries to intervene, but it's too late. Robert has indeed destroyed all the books, including some of David's.
Mm-hmm. And that was such a horrific sequence to me. I was like, what
Yes.
are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I had friends who would borrow some of my new adventures, but I would always kind of like say, yeah, these are coming back, and like they always would come back. Yeah, because I have this real thing about tearing paper, particularly accidentally tearing paper, because apparently as a baby I ate part of my first book. And it was made, according to my mum, it was made clear to me in no uncertain terms that I was not to do this. And so, like, if I am writing with a pen or a pencil and I accidentally break the paper, I just feel the shudder. And I feel the same if I accidentally tear a piece of paper. So, yeah.
Who knew this was a horror story after all?
Yes. Yes.
So then we jump forward another month, and it's now November of 1982. And Robert has assembled a neighborhood sort of gang of kids on the estate, and someone's parents are out of town and they hold a very raucous party. David avoids attending the party, but then lies to his mom later, saying that he indeed attended, but left before things got too out of hand. And you kind of get a glimpse into David's imagination and how easy it is for him to perhaps lie or embellish the truth, and how that could be, used to great advantage in his writing, but it also, you kind of see him lying to his parents and stuff too, which isn't good.
Yeah.
And then in December, David and Robert go to a concert in Darlington to see Robert's sister perform. She's in a band called Titus Groans, which I think is named after a Gormagast character.
Yes. Yeah.
And then Karen attends the concert as well. And David, during this point, realizes that Robert and Karen have started dating again. And Robert has gone full goth for the night. And Karen, at some point, lets David know that she really admires him as a writer, especially kind of his more domestic stuff.
Yeah, and David notices another guy there at the concert called Afreen, who's wearing a velvet jacket, and Afreen catches his eye. And we learn that Afreen is 2 years ahead of David at school and is a sixth former, which means he would be either going into 17 or going to 18 years old. David notices Afreen greet and kiss another guy, and it's the first time that David has seen two men kiss in public. And Karen reveals that this other guy is Afreen's boyfriend. And later, Afreen introduces himself to David and remarks he's noticed David buying Doctor Who books at a newsagent. And David's a bit embarrassed by this, but Afreen reveals he too is an aspiring writer and loves Target novelizations and has read and reread them countless times. And so he's almost kind of like a vision to David as to how life can be.
Yeah, and it ends on that kind of hopeful note, I think.
Yeah. So what do you make of this?
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It felt like a kind of like a slice of life story, which is always right up my alley. And the subject matter, I could relate quite a bit to what David was going through, both personally, but then also as a Doctor Who fan, and being a little bit different and perhaps ostracized at times by your interests.
Yeah.
I thought it captured what it might be like living on an estate, and very much so like just the lack of knowledge you had really, pre-internet, both in terms of wanting to research or find out about, how sexuality works, but then also even just getting news about Doctor Who and how difficult that is to come by, and merchandise and all of that, kind of living in that vacuum where it captures, I think, the loneliness, but also the escapism quite well.
Yeah.
What did you make of it?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. It reminded me in places of The Secret Diary of Adrian Mole, which is a book that I don't know if that's as well known to American audiences or audiences outside the UK, but that was a book that was set in roughly the same kind of time, featuring a kind of like a boy in his early teens. But this just feels more authentic, and I think the book is compassionate, I would say, in that like you kind of understand where most of the characters are coming from. Even if Robert is being quite unpleasant, but you can also kind of see that, and this is more implied than anything, but like Robert is under his own pressures.
I sort of went through that in middle school too, with like where I would have friends that suddenly were no longer interested in like Star Trek or DC Comics, or trying to get more into sports or quote unquote grown up things.
Yeah, and I remember also as well the frustrations. Even though I enjoyed sport as well as things like Doctor Who, but it seemed that football was an acceptable thing for geeky, nerdish conversations, and things like Doctor Who wasn't. So I was like, yeah, but I enjoy both. But yeah, and I was also remembering that we had a family friend who was born on the same day as me, and he looked upon Doctor Who with a bit of disdain, though did read a couple of my new adventures. And there was a game that was out called System Shock, and I remember sort of about to say, oh, there's a Doctor Who book that's called like that, and I remember him noticing I was about to say that, and he went, if you're going to make some kind of weird Doctor Who reference to this, don't. And I was like, oh, okay. So it was a kind of, it was this friendship that was, that we would have to sometimes put the Doctor Who-ness to one side. And I certainly got aspects of that in the relationship between David and Robert. And so I could see large parts of myself in this.
And there's certainly, like, listeners, if you're on the fence about reading this and you're like, well, it's not really a Doctor Who book, there's a lot of Doctor Who content in this book, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tons of references, so it's fun reading from that perspective.
Yeah. I think also as well, you absolutely don't need to have been watching Doctor Who at that time. I think you could still probably enjoy this even if you've never seen a classic episode. It doesn't fall into the trap that you have often of period dramas of kind of like showing, like, you don't have constant references to stuff in the news all the time. So it's, I think it wears its 80s-ness comfortably but lightly.
It is interesting that there is no mention of K9 and Company having aired just the week prior in December of 81 when the book starts. Paul Magrs avoids mentioning that one-off special.
Oh yeah, that's true. Sorry, I just checked. Like, the Falklands War happens during the time of this book, and I don't think that gets mentioned.
No. So it is interesting to see like which world events kind of pierce David's bubble and which don't, because you get references to like mining and stuff, but not that there's like a strike imminent or anything like that, but it's more so in the context of anxiety around metalwork class, which is something I felt whenever I had to have like an industrial tech class as they were called, in the States. And it's like, oh, you're letting all these bullies access to machines and sharp objects. That's wonderful.
Yeah. But it also does mean that with those references, that people that know the history of the Northeast kind of like know, the miners' strike is coming, and that's going to cause huge rifts between families and within communities.
Yeah.
It's there as this looming presence.
There were a couple of Doctor Who details that did jump out at me. So there was the Castrovalva airing on a different night was one. And then the other one is I think it was in March, David was complaining that the DWM with the Pterodactyl on the cover was late. And so I looked that one up. It was DWM 65, which has a June cover date and came out in May of 82. So came out like 3 months after when he was expecting it. But apart from that, I think Paul Magrs gets all of the Doctor Who details right.
Yeah.
It was nice that there was an acknowledgement of the gift shop at the exhibition, which was usually fully stocked with a variety of Target novels and other merchandise too, which was hard to come by back then.
Yeah.
If you missed something, you really did miss it. And it also brought back like some of the anxiety I had around like recording programs and stuff, because really, I mean, there was no YouTube or, like, take for example, like my experience watching the Doctor Who TV movie, I got to see the first 3 minutes of it at my grandparents' house. And then I caught the last half hour of it when I got home. And it took me over a year to get a VHS copy from a tape trading network. And so I read the novelization of that before ever seeing the regeneration. I don't know if I've shared that on the show before, but that's what watching stuff was like back then. It was, you missed it and it was gone. It was like, into that ether.
Yeah. But I do sometimes wonder whether that's where, like, Tarantino gets his, like, non-linear storytelling from. In that there are times, certainly, where you'd have to piece something together. Because I found myself at one point in my childhood watching, like, episode 2 of The Visitation. As we were abroad and we were on holiday in a place that just happened to be showing. Like, so I was having to piece together, based on no knowledge, what had been happening. Because I didn't know that The Visitation was a story. So I was like, oh, okay. So who's the doctor? I was like, oh, all right. Oh, it's the cricket guy.
Wanted to mention, too, that the character of David here also appears a few years later at 17 years old in a BBC Radio 4 drama called Imaginary Boys, which was produced and directed by Big Finish and Bad Wolf's Scott Hancock.
Okay.
Which aired in October of 2013, and that was also written by Paul Magrs. So it feels like he's used this family in a variety of ways with, some variations where like Jackie is his brother Chris, in that one short story.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of interesting to see this family get revisited time and again.
Yeah, I wonder whether it is a fictionalized version of his own. I mean, I assume it is.
Yeah. So, how would you score this?
How did I score this? So I think I'm gonna give this a 9. I'd say I really did enjoy this. Yeah, it was moving in places. It certainly evoked a place. Yeah, whilst I don't know what 1980s Darlington and the like was, but certainly, I felt myself there, and having experienced the Northeast, it felt very true. Found it a moving read. What about you?
Yeah, I had written down a 9 out of 10 as well. Very much recommended. I thought it was a lovely, sweet slice of life book.
Yeah.
I wish they would have gone deeper into different types of subject matter. Like, I wish Jackie would have stayed around a little bit longer, and maybe we would have gotten more from David about losing her as a part of his daily life.
Yes.
Because we only find out that she moved away kind of as an aside later. So, like, she's not in the second half of the book, but she's so prominent in the first half, and we don't really get a reaction to her leaving. And I wish some of that could have been explored a little bit more. I would have liked more with like Blackpool and some of the vacation stuff. It felt like it could have used an extra 50 to 100 pages maybe.
But also, if he's writing this as a diary, like certainly dear listener, I was a teenage diarist. And there would be times where I just wouldn't, or I wouldn't get round to, or I wouldn't know how to process what had happened or something. So there would be certain things I just wouldn't mention, or like due to like life happening. I just wouldn't want to. I didn't have the time or the headspace. So like that might explain some of the gaps, because like some of these things, like Jackie moves out during a gap in the diary. So I wonder if something like that is happening here.
Yeah, and I feel like there could be a danger to this book being very self-indulgent, but I feel like the author walks that line rather finely, and it doesn't become that. And tonally, it reminded me both of like Heartstopper, I would say, but also like the retro and non-horror elements of Stranger Things.
Yes, yeah.
I almost envision like a kind of a synth soundtrack going along with this.
Yeah.
And then the audiobook version of this is really well done. It's always great to hear an author read their own work, and gave it that kind of personable touch, I feel.
Yeah.
I will say too that it is sad that books like this that are supportive of LGBT lived experiences are being banned in southern states and rural communities across America right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like we should have more of this and not less.
Yeah, books like this for a while wouldn't have been able to have been in like a school library in the UK because of Section 28, which was legislation that was only repealed, I think, in the mid-2000s, that banned the promotion of homosexuality. And like this, I think, would have been regarded as that. And yeah, it's just awful. That was a law that was passed in the 80s, in 1988, I think, with the government trying to show that it was getting to grips with AIDS. So like, this isn't helping at all.
That is interesting too, that AIDS isn't mentioned at all in this book, and it's almost like it's too early for it to be mentioned when you think about like how it's depicted in It's a Sin and stuff, where it was still very early days.
Yeah.
So I guess kind of nice that the book just concentrates on David, discovering his own sexuality versus having to worry about that, which is still, years off in the future for him, and he's at least safe in his bubble in the town a little bit.
Yeah.
From that aspect.
Yeah, I don't know how much it was getting covered in the press, and probably if it was not getting covered in a responsible manner. But you don't get the vibe that David's family read the newspaper a lot.
Yeah.
Because again, that would have been a bit of a luxury. So yeah, it might have been whatever was on television.
Yeah.
But I was thinking that in many ways this feels, like you mentioned, It's a Sin, that this feels almost like not quite like a PG-13 version, but I think It's a Sin starts at roughly the same kind of time as the book.
Yeah.
It's like when you were talking about things like Heartstopper, I was also just thinking, it's a bit like a children's television version of It's a Sin. Which I do not say in a dismissive way at all. But it's because you say David is at an earlier stage in his life. But also it's a children's television version that would not have been able to be done on children's television at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I'm glad you liked it as well. I was a little nervous about picking it, but it was like it worked out. Yeah,
it's nice to do something different. Yeah, this is just a lovely book. It is not nostalgia drenched. Like, there are bits of the past, yes, but it's not kind of like going, oh, the past was a wonderful place. It's, you are reminded that the past is a foreign country, that they do things differently there.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, but that's not an original.
Oh, I know. But applying it to this, I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Well, so we move on to listener feedback?
Yeah, let's.
All right. Well, it looks like we have an email. Chris, do you want to...
Yes, so we heard from Kenny Smith from the Pieces of Eight and also as well the Power of Three podcast. And he sent us an email saying that he's been listening to our chat about Christopher Boulis. And he sort of says that is how the surname is pronounced, and says that Chris is very much a real human being, having spoken with him a couple of times for Pieces of Eight, and more recently for The Power of Three about the Sorcerer's Apprentice. And Kenny has swapped quite a few emails with him over the past year, and he most definitely is not a pseudonym. Christopher lives at the south coast of England and is a very shy private person, and apparently had taken quite a bit of convincing to talk about his work. We now realise there's a lot of appreciation out there for his previous Doctor Who works. And also as well, Kenny has been editing his interview with Mark Morris about the Ghosts of India, which, dear listener, we too have an episode about the Ghosts of India. I haven't listened as yet to the to Power of Threes. And Kenny is also proud of the fact that he is still one of two people in the world that we know of to have met both you and I.
Well, I suppose John Peel would be a third.
Well, I've been in the same room as him.
But
yeah.
That'll change next month because
It will.
There will be lots of
meet
people.
each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who will have met both of us.
Yes.
So listeners, do, if you are thinking or on the fence about attending Console Room in January, come visit with us and Sylvester McCoy, and Christopher Jones was just announced, and who knows, there may still be an announcement or two to come.
Yes.
He says cryptically.
Oh, yes, yeah. Given that I am coming over to Minnesota in January, dear listener, if you are anywhere nearby, you too should come and see me experience the Fargo-ness of it all. But so on Facebook, we've had a few comments about City of World's End, including some people saying, where can I buy it? And people say, yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, we've had Jay Barry describe City at World's End as a great read, interesting twists and turns throughout, with the regulars well characterised, and it even feels like Jacqueline Hill went on holiday for a couple of episodes.
It's true.
It's true. It kind of does. Yeah. And also as well, Max Twanelo said it was very interesting hearing that Boulis is a pseudonym. It isn't. It was just my observation that. Yeah, and my speculation, to be fair. Yeah, so I did slightly bring this upon us.
We did get quite a bit of feedback on Twitter as well about that episode. WinCK04 says, OMG, this is one of my favorite First Doctor stories. It's literally perfect. Christopher Boulis is one of my favorite writers.
Cool.
Michael Storm says, I've always enjoyed Chris Boulis's novels and was quite surprised to learn he wasn't particularly highly regarded, which that opinion may be changing.
Yeah.
Jason, Doctor Who Novels on Twitter, says City at World's End was very enjoyable. Boulis really knew how to sell even fairly obvious plot twists with great enthusiasm. Dave Javu says, I read City at World's End last year, posted a recommendation on here for when it was finished, thoroughly enjoyable and well plotted too. Palindome Rose says, this book is a must-read for any First Doctor fan. It's truly phenomenal. Listeners, listen to last month's episode to see just by how much we disagreed with some of that feedback. Bernard JKD says, regarding the timing of last month's episode, he originally was reading City at World's End in September of 2001, some 2 years after it was published, and said was reading about skyscrapers falling down, then turned on the TV the next afternoon. And then we heard from Keith Say, 50DW50 on Twitter, who thanked us for the City at World's End podcast, whereas Daniel Martinez said there were a couple of podcasts Christopher Boulis did recently where he spoke about his Doctor Who work. He did a few interviews for DWM early on, but pretty much decided to let his work speak for himself until he was persuaded to appear on a few podcasts, including Pieces of Eighth and Power of Three last month. And we also heard from Kenny Smith on Twitter, And he said he absolutely loved our latest episode about City at World's End, calls us a great listen, and has his copy of Diary of a Doctor Who Addict ready to go and looks forward to hearing our thoughts.
Cool.
So, Kenny, hope you enjoyed our discussion this time.
Yeah. Kenny is from the same area of Glasgow as my in-laws.
Huh.
Before they moved to Australia. Yes. I am hoping that in August I will be in Glasgow for Worldcon, aka when the Hugos are dished out.
Yeah.
And given that, when Glasgow is a wonderful place to be, we have not booked tickets yet or sorted out accommodation. But yeah, that's probably going to happen.
Exciting.
Yes. And Lauren has realised that because she could be going there for work, that she could kind of claim tax back on it.
Always good when you can do that.
Yes.
So I think, Chris, that brings us to what we're going to be reading next month in Ringing in the New Year.
Yes, let's bring in the new year. But also, Janus, the Roman god who gives January his name, looks forward, but also looks back. And so I'm kind of looking back a little bit to the Diary of a Doctor Who Addict. Because I too felt Peter Davison calling. So we
had to get to him eventually.
We had to get to him eventually. So I've been very much put in the mood of doing a Fifth Doctor book. And what I also want to do, because Unit seems to be back, so I thought I would do something that features the Fifth Doctor and Unit. Because we did that before. That was a success for Mark Morris. So let's do that again. We're going to have The King of Terror by Keith Topping.
I don't know if we've read a Keith Topping.
I don't think we have, no.
Very cool.
Very cool. And also, as well, I believe that at least part of it is set in America.
Also appropriate.
Yes. Cool. So, not Minnesota. For the record, if we hadn't already done a Fourth Doctor book, I think there's a very good chance that I would have picked Drift, which is a very wintry...
New England, I think, yeah.
Yes, New England, but a very wintry American town. Though I also know that would have meant inflicting Leela on you.
I can't avoid her forever.
No, you can't.
Cool.
So King of Terror.
Excellent.
Yes, you're right. We have not done a Keith Topping.
That'll be cool.
Let's see how that goes.
I think he said it in Los Angeles, and I think he draws quite a bit from his visits to Gallifrey 1 for writing it. So he and I have been to a lot of the same areas. So I look forward to spotting typical galley landmarks and stuff.
Yes. Okay.
So, very exciting.
Yes.
Well, until next month, this has been Matt in Minnesota.
Chris in South London. Happy reading, stay safe, and if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, stay warm.
Thank you for listening to the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast. Special thanks to George C. Music for use of their song Doctor Who theme swing jazz version. You can follow us on Twitter at ANDWBC Podcast and like us on Facebook. Help other listeners to find us by leaving a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. You can contact the show by emailing your thoughts to andwbcpodcast@gmail.com. And until next month, happy reading.
And, my phone is going off like it has been most of today since the football news happened. Sorry, I could move that away. Right.
We had to get to him eventually.
So, we are going to be experiencing Empire of Death by Dave Bishop. Dave wrote Who Killed Kennedy, which I think we both enjoyed. We're going to be reading Empire of Death.
Except the original book club already did that one.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Oh, I thought they had. Oh, bother. Sorry, I thought they hadn't. Okay.
Do you have another Fifth Doctor that calls to you?
I will do another Fifth Doctor. Sorry. Let me just...
Yeah, no worries.
Yes. I thought they hadn't. Okay. Right. Let me just...
I'm pulling up the list here.
Yes. I'm also bringing up my favourited list where I thought...
Have we done?
It's not on the list. Oh yeah, no, there it is. Book 4. Sorry, I didn't spot it. No, it's there. It's number 4. I will have listened to that episode, but still, yeah, okay, that's fine.
Trying to see what other.
Right. Okay. I have. Let's redo this.
Okay.
Just goes, let me
see what other.
No, I do have another one in mind.
They've
Okay.
done Lords of the Storm as well.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Okay, cool. So I've been very much put in the mood of doing a Fifth Doctor book.